All right, today it's going to be a really short lesson. We're just going to look and see how we can stretch a block, not from the endpoint, but from the midpoint. So, well, here's a couple examples. This right here is stretching from the endpoint right there. That's the endpoint, and that's it stretching. So you get that little arrow and you get that little dot. But stretching from the midpoint would be if we grab those, and you see how we got two arrows right there. So we're going to see how to set that up. And you can use that for beams, columns, or even I like to use it for break lines. So stretching from the midpoint right there, but then stretching from the end point, if I can click it like that. So, and then I put a wipeout behind it. So that way, when you use it in there, it works like that and it hides whatever's underneath. So we're going to look at building both of those things right now. So these are just fresh. These are just lines. So let's go ahead and make a block out of this one, and we'll just call it column. Fill. Hit OK, and we'll just make that the base point right there. Select those, and it'll bring us into here. So we'll go ahead and do the normal one first. So that's going to be parameters, and then linear. Click from there, and then we just want one. So we come over to our settings, and we just hit number of grips 1. Then we come over to actions, stretch, click that dimension, click that guy, select all those, and then select that, hit enter, and then we can test it. Click over here, and it looks just fine. All right. So we're going to click on that, and we're just going to set some max and mins for this. So we're going to change this to increment, and then the increments, I'm going to leave it as anything, but the minimum we'll say is 5 inches, and the maximum we'll say is 18 inches. All right, we'll test that out in a second. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to parameters, and we're going to go linear, and then this time, I guess we go from the bottom. We'll click that there, and instead of changing this to 1, like we've been doing in the past tutorials, we're going to leave this at 2. So we're going to leave it at 2, go to Actions, Stretch, select it. We'll click on this one, do that, and then just highlight this side and hit Enter. Now you notice when we did that, we still have the exclamation point here, and that's because now that we have 2, we got to do them both. So we're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to click that dimension. See, now this time it knows we got to still do this one. So then we're going to highlight all that, and then we're going to select all that and hit enter. So now we've got both of those. And if we go to test it, then we'll see that they stretch independently at this point right now. But everything's stretching just like we set it up. So that part's working. So the only thing that we really need to do to change it to make it work is we just select that right there, and then come over here, and where it says start point, we change it to midpoint, just like that. So then let's go test it again. And now it stretches. And that's it. That's the easy part about it. So we could come back to this, select that guy again, and we could change him to say increment and do the exact same thing. So we could say the minimum would be 5 inches. All right, it wants the minimum at 3 inches. And then we could do a maximum of 12 inches, let's say 12 inches. All right, so then we close it, we save it, and we test it. So that's the max right there. That's the min. 5 inches goes all the way to 18 inches, just like that. So that one's good. That one's set up. This one, I've already got these lines and the wipeout set up. If you don't know how to do the wipeout, then look at some of my older tutorials or leave a message and I'll do a specific one on all the things that you could do with wipeout. So for this one, same thing. B for block. Come in here, we'll just say break lines 2, because I think I already made one. So we'll hit OK. Yeah, we could choose the center. That's fine for that. That'll be okay. And then let's just select these here. All right, so in here, if we're going to do the stretch, let's do the stretch for this part first. And I'll tell you one thing that I messed up on that would have been a whole lot better is if I would have had these spread out more just to help me select what I wanted to select, but that's okay. What's done is done. So we're going to click there, that to that right there. And then on this one, we're going to click and come over here and just say one grip. Then we'll go to actions, stretch, select that, and then that arrow. And now here's the issue. This is where I really should have done it differently. So we'll see if this works. We may have to change it. Select that. And now this time I only want to select that right there and make sure I don't select that. So we'll see if that works. Let's hit enter and then let's test it. Test it, click here. Yeah, see, because I did that box, it's selecting that part of the wipeout right there and it's causing an issue. So let's close that. So what we need to do to fix that is we actually need to stretch this and just remove that. And let's just stretch it down 3 inches or something like that right there. So then we're just going to drag all these. Probably could have just grabbed it and stretched it, but that just is part of what happens sometimes. All right, so this one right here, we're just going to delete that one. I just hit the little X on there. So then we hit stretch again. This time we're going to grab that. Now we can do a box and we're nowhere near that. We're going to select all those objects, hit enter. And then when we test it, still messes up. Well, I don't know why it's messing up. So let's close that out. Good example of what not to do. All right. So now we've got our block. We're keeping it separate like that. Select everything, block. We'll say break lines 3. Hit OK. Select in the center, select all that, hit enter. All right, let's try it again and see. So we start from this point here to that point there. Change it back to 1, just like we did. And then actions, stretch. Select that triangle. We're going to go as close as we can to this and see if that makes it better. And then select that right there and hit enter. And then we go test, and now it's working. So that just shows that if you started off with it really close like that, for some reason, I must have selected that the first time and it was just locked in memory that was going to grab it. So when you start out with something like break lines, you need to give yourself proper distance to make sure that that doesn't happen. But that's good to see what could happen. Okay, so then we're talking about stretching the midpoint. So we're going to go to there. And you know what? Instead, I'm going to use the top one just so that we're away from this guy here. So we'll click on these two and stretch it up to that point. We're going to leave both of these, as we mentioned. And then we're just going to come over here and stretch both sides. So click that one, click there, select just that, and hit enter. And then do the exact same thing again. This guy there, select all that, and then just do a box selection there. And then we select this dimension here, and we come down to where it says base location start point, and we select midpoint. And then we test that. Now those stretch independently, and that stretches independently. And so now we've got our break lines working just fine, just like we showed. So pretty short, should have been short, but had a little mess up, but that's good. That way it shows what could happen. So hopefully that helps you. Have a couple of different ways that you can use that. Now, next time, I figured we could do something a little bit different because we've been dealing with blocks for a number of episodes. So this one, we're going to look at leaders. So I've got them over here, and we're just going to look at the difference between the leaders. Uh, what makes this leader different than this leader, and then what can we do with a multi-line leader? So that will be our next episode. Thanks so much.